Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Matt, I'm just a dude, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I built a set of freestanding garage shelves. The cause of this video was the garage was a mess. I needed to get more organized. We simply outgrew the storage we had in the garage, so I decided on building some shelves. There are a lot of videos on how to build shelving, which is secured into one side of the garage wall, but I wanted mine to be freestanding instead. I built garage shelving before and learned if you want to store the big plastic bins, there needs to be a space of about 20 inches high and 21 to 23 inches wide. This will allow things like the big storage bins and radial flyer wagons to fit in the spaces. I had about 77 to 78 inches in length to work with, so I decided on building shelves capable of storing 3 large bins on the bottom. After a night of brainstorming, I came up with some rough plans to build freestanding shelves made out of 2x4's, which would be 24 inches deep, about 96 inches high, because that's the size of the common 8-foot 2x4, and about 73.5 inches wide. This turns out to be storage spaces of 46 inches, another space of 23 inches, and 3 sideways 2x4's, which end up measuring around 4.5 inches. Once I had all this drawn out, I was able to guesstimate I would need about 16 8-foot 2x4's. I went to the local Home Depot and bought 18 96.5 inch studs, which came out to be around $115. This was definitely cheaper than buying pre-made shelves, which cost around $240. I did not buy any material to use for the top of the shelves and was planning on reusing some fence boards I had from a recent fence build I did. If you want to watch that video, click the link above. Once I had my plan and material, it was time to clean out the area and start building. The first thing I had to do was figure out the slope of the garage floor. The level told me that widthwise in the garage there was no slope, but from the front of the garage to the back of the garage, the fall was about 1/4 inch per every 2 feet. I placed some shims under the level and adjusted them until the bubble was level. With the shims holding the level in place, it was much easier to measure the slope. I needed 3 sets of legs for the shelving unit, so I picked the straightest 6 pieces I had for these legs. Then I cut 1 set at 95.5 inches, 1 set at 96 inches, and 1 set at 96.25 inches. This is because one side is going to have a space of about 46 inches in between the legs, and the other is only going to be about 23 inches. I was able to get all the pieces cut using only 16 boards. The cuts I needed for this project were 2 at 95.5 inches, 2 at 96 inches, and 2 at 96.25 inches. These made up the legs or the upright supports. I also needed 8 at 46 inches, 8 at 23 inches, and 16 at 21 inches. These pieces made the horizontal supports for the shelves. Once I had all the pieces cut, I started to mark out where everything would go. I set the legs by each other in sets. This would allow the layout to be easily transferred on both boards. I marked the boards measuring from the top down because this measurement would never change. If I measured from the bottom up, I would have to account for the differences in height due to the slope in the floor. I placed a mark at 3.5 inches, 24 inches, 27.5 inches, 48 inches, 51.5 inches, 72 inches, and 75.5 inches. I marked it here because I wanted 20 inches in between each horizontal. I also added in a 1/2 inch for the shelf top, which will be added later. I also marked the legs by length so they had less of a chance of being placed in the wrong location. I screwed 2 scrap pieces together and used them to mark where the horizontal front and rear 2x4 supports would go. I did this on each of the legs. I also marked an X on the front and rear side of each of the legs. Once all of the legs were marked, I could start adding the 21-inch pieces I cut. Each outside set of legs would need 4 of these braces and the middle would need 8, 4 on each side. I cut these at 21 inches because I wanted the shelves to be 24 inches deep. since there's going to be a 2x4 on edge, both front and rear, each of which will take up 1.5 inches. So 24 minus 3 is 21 inches. I hope this makes sense. I used number 9 2.5 inch GRK screws to secure the 2x4s to each other. Each 2x4 received 2 screws on each side. Once each set of the legs was built, I moved them into the garage in the order they would go. Now that everything is in the garage, it's time to start placing the horizontal supports in place. I started with a short side because I felt I would be able to hold the uprights or legs in place better since they were only about 2 feet apart. I placed a screw in each side of the horizontal pieces before I attempted to secure it to the uprights. This let me just put the piece in place and screw it in instead of having to start a screw there as well. Once I had a couple of the rear horizontals and a couple of the front, this section was able to stand freely. I then started to place the horizontal pieces on the long side. Once there was a couple of these in, the whole structure was freestanding. I finished adding the rest of the horizontal pieces. When all the horizontal pieces were in place and the shelves were in their final location, I checked level on the shelves. Came out pretty good, I think. I added some 2x4s to act as braces under the long shelves as well. I reused old fence boards and whatever scraps of plywood I had laying around in order to finish the tops of the shelves. Doing this let me reuse some old lumber instead of throwing it away, and it kept the price of this as cheap as possible too. I used number 8 1.5 GRK screws to secure the fence boards and plywood pieces to the horizontal supports. If this video helped you out, if you could like and subscribe, it would definitely help out the channel. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll answer them the best I can. Again, my name is Matt, I'm just a dude, and if I can't fix it, I'll fix it so no one else can. Thanks for watching.